I will be as I say. There is no land to carry me above the earth, so my speech carries me, a bird springing out from me. It builds the nest of its journey before me, in my debris, in the debris of the magical world that surrounds me. Upon a wind I rose, my long night took its time. This is my language. Collars of stars around the necks of lovers, they left. They took place and left. They took time and left. They took their scent from the clay pots and the short grass and left. They took the words and the bruised heart left with them. Does the echo, this white sound mirage, allow for a name whose hoarseness fills the unknown, that departure fails divinely? The sky places me in a window, so I look. I see no one but myself. I find myself inside out, a double of myself, and my visions are not far from the desert. My steps are of wind and sand. My world is my body and what my hands possess. I am the traveler and the path. God reveals themselves to me, and then go. We don't draw our conversation about what is to come. There is no tomorrow in this desert but what we saw yesterday. So I'll lift my ode so that the cyclical time will break and beautiful days will be born. All has passed, will come tomorrow. I leave myself to itself, having taken its fill of the present. The departure empties me of temples. The sky has its peoples and its wars. As for me, I have a gazelle as a wife and palms as odes in the book of sand. A past is what I see. Man possesses the kingdom of dust and its crown. My language will triumph over time, the enemy, over my progeny, over me, over my father, and over an end that doesn't end. This is my language and my miracle. My magic disobeys. Gardens are my Babylon and my obelisk, my first identity, my polished metal. The sacred of the Arab in the desert worships what flows from rhymes like the stars on its cloak, and worships what it tells. Prose, then, is inevitable, a divine prose, so the prophet will triumph.
Thank you very much. Next we have Hannah Issa, who has a personal note to share on Mahmoud Darwish. Please give her a hand.
I wasn't prepared to say something today, but since I was lucky to know Mahmoud Darwish personally, I'm going to say a few words of my memory when I was a child. I was born in Haifa, the same place where Mahmoud Darwish worked from 1960 until 1971. And I was lucky to live in the same neighborhood where he used to live. I remember when I was a child, he used to live in, we used to live in a neighborhood that was left since a few neighborhoods. The Arab neighborhoods, they were left since 1948. The neighborhood is called Abbas. And he was actually, I remember exactly where he used to live, a building called Darwish. It's a landmark in Haifa. It's between the intersection of Al-Mutanabbi Street and Abbas Street. The few streets that return their Arabic names. Most of the streets around us, now they're changed to Zion, Geffen, and that's the only things that was left in our neighborhood, Haifa. Mahmoud Darwish used to come. He used to work at that time, as Professor Abdel Jabir mentioned, in Al-Ittihad. He was a journalist, and also used to work in Al Jadid. And during that time, he also became the editor of Al Jadid. I remember he used to come to our next door neighbor. His name was Najib Susan. He was a locally known writer. He used also to work in Al-Ittihad. And personally, I don't remember much about him since I was very young, but the only thing I remember, he used to tell me, you live in the prettiest place on earth. Like every time he used to pass, he used to say, you live in the prettiest place on earth. He loved Haifa very much, and that is reflected on his poetry. The only thing that I remember as a child from my parents, a term that we grew up inside Israel, the Palestinians in 1948, was the term is Al-Iqam al-Jabriya. Al-Iqam al-Jabriya was also Professor Abdel Jabir mentioned house arrest. And this word was associated with thinkers, Palestinian thinkers, authors, writers, poets. And for me, I remember my parents, every once in a while, they would say, oh, they put Mahmoud Darwish and Samih al-Qasim because they were roommates at that time. They put Samih al-Qasim and Mahmoud Darwish under house arrest, and I didn't know at that time what it meant. But later, of course, I knew that. You know. And also, they were Mahmoud Darwish was prevented from leaving Haifa for many months. And I understand his struggle since people used to talk about it in my neighborhood. When he left in 1971, everyone in my neighborhood starts, it was a rumor, I think, they were saying that he was put into exile. Actually, he went out of his own will. And 1974, Israel decided he can't come back to Israel. So it was 1973 when he started to get involved, when he became involved with the PLO. And that's it. The next time he came to Haifa, I remember it was 1995. He was given permission for 4 days. It was the time to attend the funeral of the famous writer Emil Tuma. I'm sorry, Emil Habibi. Emil Tuma died 10 years before that. And during that time again, he met my sister Marchas, and he said the same word: "You live in the prettiest place on earth," and Haifa is for me and for many people. The second time he came last year, I was unable also to go. It was his first and last reading, poetry reading in Haifa since he deported in 1971. My daughter was lucky last semester, spring semester, she went for study. She did study abroad in Jordan, and she attended his last poetry reading in Amman. But she didn't tell me that she made a surprise for me. So last 12 days after Mahmoud's death, my daughter told me, I got you a gift that I don't think I can give it to you again. I didn't know what was that. So I just opened it before I even knew. She knows that I don't care about celebrity, autographs. So she didn't tell me that it was addressed to me and signed by Mahmoud Darwish. Just the minute that I opened it, I burst in tears, and it was the most valuable gift that my daughter gave me.
For sharing with us that very personal and touching story. Next we have Edith Shanata reading a poem by Mahmoud Darwish. And please stick around for some closing remarks with the director and pizza for everybody.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. The poem I'm going to read, I'm going to read 2 verses in Arabic. It's called Diary of a Palestinian Woman. And then I'll read the entire poem in English. Bear with me. I might not have all my customers in place. نحن في حالي من التذكار فالأقرب مال فينا وعلي إذا حمنا أشوف الجليل لا تقوى لتنانا نور كدو كالنهر إليها لا تقوى نحن في لحم بالذي وهي فينا لم نحن قبل هزير إني كأفرها الحمام ولذا لم يتفتت هبنا بين السلاسل نحن يا أخرة من 20 أن نحن لا نكتب الشعر ولكن نقتل. Diary of a Palestinian Woman. We do not need to be reminded Mount Carmel is in us, and our eyelashes the grass of Galilee. Do not say, if we could run to her like a river. Do not say it.